MB Enclosures has his own YouTube channel, and this guy is an animal when it comes to designing boxes.
Unbelievable. I couldn't even believe that there was 2 8s in there.
This guy right here is doing something special.
I welcome y'all to MBE. What you about to see, box building in a different league. In this SQL scene, believe that money ain't a thing when it comes to its kings. Now that's fact, not fiction. Call 44694 48 then 18. Don't matter, you got 4 8s or 1 8 or anything between. He got what you need.
This is my crew. This is my gang. These are my kings. Hey, what's up? It's your boy MB. You know, one of the greatest things that I enjoy being a box builder going on 4 years is that my work is proven. I think I have a 98% success rate, and my work can be tested. The theorem of my work can be tested to see if I'm giving you the right box volume and the right port area. Every time I build a box, I do not have to use Base Pro Box 6. Base Pro Box 6 is used by shops, and I use it shops primarily, and I use it sometimes when I'm having to design a box for, say, like the Solo X for the first time. It was a sub that was recently released, so I can play with it, take it out the box that I built for it at first, based on what the manufacturer suggested. Pull some TS parameters because I have a DAT machine, a DAT version 3. Let me get that for you. I have numerous tools that I can use to help me figure out what a particular subwoofer needs as far as volume and port area. The DATs is something I use after I have tested the subwoofer in one enclosure. I can pull the subwoofer out, get new TS parameters and see what it does and what it might need next. I can use the AM1 to find out the frequency of the box after I have built it to see what the tuning is for that particular driver. So these tools are things I do behind the scenes that enable me to become familiar with a particular driver, so that when any customer asks for a box for that particular driver, and I have deduced that, yes, you do need a box because the box you have it in now is incorrect, or you don't have a box at all, you just want a custom box for whatever reason that may be. But irregardless of that, once the box is in your hands, you can always check it yourself to see what the tuning is and the box volume. A common program that is used by a lot of people, some even to build enclosures, is the Ultimate Cardio app. Microphone. Once you click on the app, it takes you here. You would click on box calculators, and this is a slot port design. You will hit slot port, and it tells you, I hope this, maybe you can blow your screen up later. It tells you width, height, depth. It also asks you the thickness of the wood, the width, and the height and the length of the port, how many subs you're using, the cutout, and you put all the information in. And then you can see if the builder or even if your prefab is going to be sufficient for the subs that you ask. Now I'm going to show you, this is just a little basic rudimentary way of showing you how to use the app. I'm not going to input the numbers, but I challenge anyone who has a box from me. This is what you can do to test your internal airspace and the tuning of your enclosure. You would take the width of the enclosure. You would take the height of the enclosure. And you would take the depth, some people call it the length, I normally call it the length, of the enclosure. And you would put that into the calculator in the slots that have a line for it. Whatever your height is, and you got a box for me, what I use is 3/4 inch thick, 0.75. So whatever this height here on this enclosure is 14 inches. So you would subtract 1.5 because 0.75 times 2 is 1.5. 1.5 from 14 is 12.5 inches. So the height of this port is 12.5 inches. You would take the width of the port and you would enter that into the calculator. Let me walk this over to you so you can see. So after you have entered in your width, height, and depth, and you have entered in your width of the port, the height of your port, you need to measure the length of your port. That is simply done like this. Tape measure on the inside, pull it out, and measure. But you need to add that number because this port has a bend. You don't have to measure both sides. If you measure both sides and add them together, you're basically a moron. You're only going to measure one side because the reason why the port bends to the back is because it cannot continue on without hitting the opposite wall. So you bend it. You would take your tape measure, put it in the corner, measure here. For example, it says inside 7.5. 7.5. But remember, it's buttoned up against this piece of wood that is 0.75 inches thick. So you would add 7.5 plus 0.75 and you will come with 8.25. 8.25 plus the length, 8.25 plus this length of 19 gives you 27.25 inches long. You would put that information into the calculator. It will tell you the tuning of the enclosure. However, there's one thing else that must be input into that calculator as well, and that is the displacement of the drivers. You can add them together or you can input them one at a time until the app that is 2 drivers. In that case, it will multiply the displacements. So say you put in 0.12 as a displacement of 1 driver and ask you how many drivers do you have. You say 2. It's going to take 0.12 times 2 and give you a total displacement of 0.24. It's going to subtract this displacement of the drivers and the displacement of the port, and it's going to tell you exactly what your net volume is. It's also going to tell you your tuning. One thing, what guides my business in MBE is that I'm led by God. I'm led by Jesus. And he tells me, just tell people the truth. All my enclosures can be tested with that simple app to give you within plus 1 or 1.5 hertz tuning and plus or minus plus 0.1 to 0.2 in net volume. No, 0.1 or 0.2 in net volume. they can be tested. So you can ascertain if I actually gave you a box tuned to the frequency we decided upon based on the space you told me to give you, minus displacement of the drivers and minus the displacement of the port. I don't need defending. Just put it in a calculator. I felt good making this video here because I've been in business 4 years and I have a great success rate because I build boxes that can be tested with just a generic calculator. Y'all be blessed.